Welcome to Indian Movies Recap. Today we are going to see a 2018 Hindi black comedy, crime thriller movie named Andhadun. A farmer hunts a visually impaired hare in a cabbage field beside a highway. As the hare hides behind a milestone on the highway, the farmer spots it and takes aim with his gun. The screen closes and opens with Akash. Akash is a talented but seemingly blind pianist in search of inspiration. He spends his time fervently attempting to complete a musical piece which is an example of his finest art. The only people seemingly aware of his innocuous presence initially are a neighboring kid who keeps testing him in attempts to see if he is truly blind, and a pet cat named Rani. Akash is knocked over while crossing the road one day by Sophie, whose father owns a diner. Sophie is awed by Akash's talent and gets him a gig at the diner where he is noticed by yesteryear actor Pramod Sinha. Pramod is married to Simi and to commemorate their wedding anniversary, invites Akash over to his apartment for a private performance for himself and his wife. Sophie drops him back to his flat, whereupon it is revealed that Akash can see, as he watches Sophie drive away. Sophie is oblivious to this, however, and the two develop a relationship. When Akash reaches Pramod Sinha's flat, Simi opens the door and is reluctant to let him in, but does so when she sees that her neighbor is watching them. Simi, convinced that Akash is blind, allows him to play the piano inside. Akash begins, but immediately notices a body nearby. However, he feigns ignorance and continues to play the piano to maintain his charade of blindness. Akash excuses himself and goes to the bathroom, whereupon he sees Manohar hiding but acts as if he is unaware of him, since he is assumed to be blind. On his return to the piano, he manages to identify the body as that of Pramod Sinha. Simi and Manohar, who were lovers, clean the body up silently and put it in a suitcase to be disposed of while Akash resumes playing the piano, supposedly unaware. In a flashback, it is revealed that Pramod had lied to his wife about a supposed trip to Bangalore, but had, in reality, gone to bring anniversary gifts as a surprise for his wife. He returns home only to see his wife cheating on him. Afterwards, Akash attempts to report the murder. He goes to police station and begins to say what he saw, but is shocked as he discovers that Manohar is an inspector in the police station. As Inspector Manohar would know Akash was aware the whole time, Akash finally ends up lying about the boy living downstairs and accusing him of killing his cat Rani to change the reason of his approaching the police. Simi manages to kill the neighbor who had also noticed Manohar's entry into the flat, once again in the unwitting Akash's presence, who is forced to continue his charade of being unaware of either of the murders. Both Manohar and Simi continue to browbeat Akash, perpetually testing him to ascertain if he was really blind. Akash finally cracks when Simi manages to pour poison in his coffee in front of him, in an attempt to ascertain if he was really blind. Akash then insists that he doesn't want any problems and just wants to leave for a concert in London. He then tells Simi that he faked the blindness as part of a social experiment in one of his pursuits for inspiration as an artist. However, he begins to choke, realizing that a sweet that Simi had given him earlier was poisoned. Retching, he collapses. Sophie comes by and sees that the neighboring child had recorded a video of Akash moving and seeing his way about like a normal person. Furious and heartbroken, she knocks the door, to which Simi opens the door wearing nothing but a bed sheet around her to trick Sophie into thinking that she and Akash were in bed. Sophie sees Akash lying in the bed and tries to wake him up, but as he was under drug, he does not respond. She leaves him. Akash wakes up and, realizing that he cannot see, fervently washes his eyes. He realizes he has been blinded and demands that Simi restore his sight. Simi tells him to focus on his art and that no one would believe his story of her guilt on the two murders since he was a blind man, and leaves. After a discussion with Manohar, they decide that blinding Akash would not be enough as he could still reveal details, and Manohar comes back to finish the job. After a tense struggle, Akash escapes out to the road, faints and comes to in a shady clinic, which is revealed to be a front for illicit organ harvesting. Dr. Swami and his two assistants decide to remove his kidney and sell it for 2 lakh. They forcefully inject him anesthesia, but before fainting Akash tells them he will help them get 1 crore. At the last minute they change their mind, they spare Akash and help him in his quest for gaining money required to reverse his blinding. They kidnap and subdue Simi and blackmail Manohar into bringing 1 crore rupees to a specified location. At this point several twists come about. The assistants tie Akash up with Simi to claim all of the money for themselves. They then extort the money from Manohar, who shoots one of them but gets trapped in an elevator by the other. Manohar, trapped, then ends up accidentally shooting himself, leaving his fate uncertain. The money extorted from Manohar is eventually revealed to be fake money. Meanwhile, a desperate Akash removes Simi's blindfold after she helps him to free himself. Akash, blind but guided by Simi, attempts to escape while Simi frees herself and attacks him. Dr. Swami enters and the two of them subdue Simi. Dr. Swami and Akash tie Simi in the trunk of a car and begin driving. Dr. Swami reveals his plans to harvest Simi's organs for 6 crore rupees and pay for Akash's cornea transplant, but Akash is morally perturbed by the notion. Dr. Swami drives away with Akash, with Simi bound in the trunk. 2 years later, in Europe, a traveling Sophie meets Akash, still apparently blind with dark glasses, at one of his gigs in Europe, where he tells her the entire story. Akash then tells her that after Dr. Swami had driven away with him, Simi awakened in the trunk and started making noises. Dr. Swami dismisses Akash's scruples, stops the car and goes to the trunk of the car, where he is swiftly overpowered by Simi. Simi then takes control of the car. Akash, thinking that it is still Dr. Swami at the wheel, continues to try to convince him to let Simi go. Hearing this, Simi drops Akash off and drives off, but changes her mind and turns around, intending to run him over. At this point, the hair, from the beginning of the movie, slams into her windshield, causing her to lose control and crash. The car explodes, killing Simi with it. Sophie hears the entire story and commiserates. She tells Akash that he should have harvested Simi's organs and gotten his sight back. Akash, however, doesn't say a word and leaves with the help of his stick, which has a rabbit carved on its handle. Once out of sight, he uses the stick to smartly swat a can out of his path. Thanks for watching. Do like, share and subscribe for more videos.